want to pose a question to you, especially the moms out there, especially the women who feel like they are busy working. How much time do you spend playing? Not playing with your kids, but for yourself. I don't mean productivity disguised as hobbies or things that you feel like you should be enjoying because they're good for you. I mean real, genuine play. The kind that feels life-giving and free. This is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately, and I just want to share some things that I've reflected on and really what play has looked like for me in recent years and why I think it matters so much in motherhood. Oh my gosh. I don't want to feel like this is like a huge production thing. I just want you to feel like we're just having a little chit chat and I'm just asking a question. I feel like somewhere along the way between like graduating high school, going through college, going into the workforce, getting engaged, married, then you start having kids. I feel like a lot of us stopped doing things because we simply enjoy them. They kind of turn into these things that we have to do rather than the things that we enjoy doing. We manage the home, the schedule, the cooking, the cleaning, all these things that we juggle and manage on a day-to-day basis. And we really show up for a lot of people in our life as women, which I believe we are supposed to do. Like, I believe that is one of our foundational callings as women. But in that, I feel like our play just like slowly disappears for a while. And maybe this isn't the case for you, but it definitely was the case for me, especially in my early years as like a professional. And as you grow up, you just take on these responsibilities, which isn't a bad thing. It's part of growing up and being an adult. But I wonder how much of that is lost when we don't allow ourselves to play anymore. Now, I first really noticed this once I got a sewing machine. For me, sewing has always been this place of play and experimentation and curiosity and mastering a skill that I knew nothing about. And I tried so many different things with it, and I still do. I don't put this pressure on myself to have it perfect, to have the most beautiful stitches ever, or just like for it to turn into something productive. I just enjoy learning and experimenting and working with my hands. There's something really freeing about doing something where the point isn't just the outcome, but it's the process. And I feel like I've always looked at sewing as that. I first started quilting and I loved it. So then I wanted to try other things and work with my machine in other ways. And it just has pushed me so creatively. And I honestly think it's one of the best things I could ever do for myself as a mom, as a person, as a creative person. I just love it. I've sewed this vest. Like this I made this. And that's such a cool thing to be able to say. And that's what I'm talking about. Getting that creative process, that kind of play feels curiosity building. It feels like not a pressure to be perfect, not a pressure to have everything figured out. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels light and playful. And yes, the outcome can be something like a vest or a blanket or something. But I just learned so many things. Like, I got lost in the process of sewing. Like, I ended up sewing for probably like 5 hours that one day. And this was the outcome. And it wasn't about the outcome. It was about the process. Seeing something come to life from start to finish because of something that I was doing. And it felt light and exciting rather than like heavy or like a responsibility that needed to be done in a timely manner. Now, cooking has also been another area of play for me. And it wasn't always like that, but when I'm intentional about it, or knowing I need to cook a certain day, or I'm really looking forward to a meal that I'm gonna make, that's when it becomes playful and fun. It becomes a drain on me when I haven't thought it through. When I haven't thought about it ahead of time, I have meat that's frozen in the freezer, and I'm not looking forward to the meal that I'm making. But once I take the time to settle in and like I've talked about this before, but me and my husband, we have like these weekly meetings where we talk about what we want to eat for the week and where kids need to go and certain things like that. And it's just such a beautiful, grounding, intentional way of us knowing who's going to be cooking, when they're going to be cooking, and what meals we can look forward to eating this week. For example, we're going to be having a split pea soup. So we're going to make a ham tomorrow and make it into a soup later. We'll have ham for sandwiches and other things. And I just am looking forward because we were both like, a soup sounds so good. And I know split pea soup isn't for everyone, but it's something that we haven't had in a long time. And I'm looking forward to eating it again. So with that in mind, I know that I need to have some fresh bread or buns or rolls or something. So that helps me look forward to that process of cooking a soup or making something from scratch. So really, when I slow down the approach to cooking and I approach it with intention, it becomes such an area of rest, rejuvenation, and play. Like, it feels playful to try a new recipe, to make it more of an experience rather than like rushing through a meal just so that we have our bellies full and we can move on to the next thing. It's about making it like a grounding and intentional practice in your week rather than something you have to do. If we view it from this lens of playing, it becomes so much more enjoyable to the one that's cooking, to the one that is thinking about this all the time, because I know that it can feel heavy or annoying to feel like I'm the one that always cooks, I'm the one that always cleans, I'm the one that's always thinking about this. When in reality, if we just slow down and don't rush the process of meals or cooking or complaining about this thing that needs to happen every single day, 3 times, sometimes 4 times a day, depending on if you have kids and snacks and, whatever. You get it. So to go along with cooking, I've also just found this deep love for sourdough. And I know it's kind of one of those things that everybody talks about, but I have found that it is one of the most enjoyable things that I do week to week. Playing with that and experimenting with different things like my sourdough starter. I've had it since 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there. So it's been almost 5 years since I started my sourdough journey, which almost sounds crazy to say because it's 2026 now. Wow. So I stopped buying store-bought bread and I've just been experimenting with sourdough bread. I also am now going to be starting milling my own flour, which is just another form of excitement for me. Like, I'm ready to like learn something new and experience something that I know is going to benefit me, my family, and the people around me. So I'm looking forward to experimenting in that way with sourdough and fresh milled flour and figuring out how to make it work and for it to become a rhythm, a repetition, a thing of beauty versus a thing of annoyance or inconvenience or any other word associated with that. Because sourdough, there's nothing else than like making your own bread at home, getting your hands in the dough and working that, it's so beautiful. I love the rhythm. I love the repetition. I love being able to use my hands, and it's honestly just so life-giving. I love bread, and being able to make it for my family consistently has been beautiful. It grounds me in a way that feels really nourishing and not draining or something that I complain about. It's just something that I do. It became a habit and a rhythm and a repetition that gives more to me than I realize. Now, the last example, well, Now, another version of play in my life is typically it's been one night a week where I go and play volleyball with a group of women in my community, and it's been one of those things that has given me back a sense of joy and a night just for myself. I was a former college athlete, so it was hard to let go of that structure and goal orientation mindset and like constant strive for improvement when it comes to your sport. And I've always had this love of the game, and now I just get to play because I love it. Not for anybody's approval, not for looking for anything that is external, but just for an internal love of the game and being able to do something that I fell in love with at a very early age, and I'm still able to do that. And it's just one of the funnest things that I do in my week. And there's just something so powerful about moving your body and doing something you've always loved just for fun. And I would say that YouTube here is another form of play for me. It pushes me creatively. It helps me use skills that I'm still learning. It's been really beautiful to grow in that way without really putting a whole lot of pressure on it. Like, it just feels fun to edit, to film videos, to figure out like interesting shots or different ways I can edit things post-production, like it's an ever-evolving process. And I think that that's the beauty of this platform. It's just like, this is what I've been enjoying right now, and I can share it with you, and it just feels so fun and cool. So let me bring it back to motherhood here. What I noticed is when I make room to play in variety ways throughout life, I enjoy my life so much as a mom because I'm doing something that I love, things that make me enjoy life, which in turn shows my kids that they can find things that they enjoy in life. I don't feel resentful. I don't feel guilty because I don't feel like I'm serving everyone else while disappearing myself, which is the way that I felt for a few years when I wasn't doing things that built this creative spark in me. So now I get to feel more like me. So if you are feeling run down or like you're constantly pouring yourself out for other people and serving them, I really want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you did something just because you loved it? Not because it was productive, not because it was good for your kids, just because it brought you joy. And honestly, it doesn't have to be big. For me, it started really small, like sewing during a nap time, which inspired this channel. Or drinking a cup of tea while it's hot. Or maybe it's just sitting down to read a book you really enjoy. Maybe it's moving your body or creating something else or returning to something that you once loved. I think we were never meant to stop playing. We were just never taught how to keep at it once life got full. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and even join my email list, because that is where I share reflections like these on a semi-regular basis. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.